Well, let's see now. Supposedly unlisted. And hi, Werewolf One. This is supposed to be an unlisted test as I'm working out situations. And, well, it is confusing. So, Werewolf, if you're seeing me and hearing me, give me an indication, would you? Significant delay in video and audio. Okay. Well, I guess I'm gonna shut her down then. Oh, okay. So me, you say I look and sound good. You need your glasses fixed, my friend. But quite a big delay. You can hear me, but you can see me as well, right? That's interesting. And you see me too. Well, I'll be darned. So, yeah, not a problem, Werewolf. I see that you're back. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Alfie Joe. Alfie Joe Bob. Great name, man. Scott. Okay, well, it seems to be working, except that there's this very significant lag. So I don't know whether I need to go to, or if this is just normal. Maybe this lag is normal. Since I haven't done it before, maybe that's what it's supposed to do. I see you're over in Chicago. Scott, very cool. I grew up in Davenport, Iowa, just downriver from you, about a couple hours. Did a lot of things in Chicago. It's a happening town, but oh golly, the winters there will freeze the brass knuckles off of a monkey. And let me see. Well, it says I'm streaming. I see a picture. Obviously, you can tell I don't have my green screen up. I'm going to lower the camera a little bit. See if it gets more of my some of my big old head in there. Yeah, I can see that, Alpha Joe Bob. That is a good summer name. That reminds me of my wife's Uncle Possum. Let's see, Uncle Possum, Uncle Zeke, Uncle Slim, Uncle Sinawa. There was one more. Uncle Mule. Uncle Mule, yeah. So it's all synced, huh? Dang. Well, it's saying that I'm live, so I'm wondering now. Now, Chris had told me he puts runs the YouTube itself on a separate monitor. But apparently this is working. Please use a keyframe frequency of 4 seconds or less. I can call buffering. The current keyframe is 8 seconds. Note that ingestion errors. See, I'm learning as I go. Now it says the stream status is poor. I'm doing like 6 things at once. So where do I change this stream latency? 4 seconds or less. I just don't know where that might be. Hey, Planetary Protector. What a great name. And man, this is supposed to be a unlisted Earl. I'm blown away that anybody is actually looking at this. And yeah, Scott over there, Scott McPeak. We did a live interview with Jimmy back on January 9th, I think it was. It was very cool. We had a terrific time. We uncovered a lot of information. We shared a lot of really interesting insights to the stuff we were looking at. Oh, I see. So you're getting a notification on this. Very interesting. And I see Dean Sattler's on board. Good to see you, Dean. And, you know, I didn't schedule this. You know, when I set this up, it said the video I was watching on the other browser said, hey, put it as an unlisted, and then you can do it privately, and I can sit here and make all my mistakes. Obviously, I don't have my green screen, like I said, so you can see the inside of the lodge. And Ramona, of course we're looking, of course we're watching. Well, dang. If I'd known that, I would have prepared better. I would have brushed my teeth, maybe even taken a shower. I don't know. And certainly would have had my makeup girl spend a little more time with me and hide all those embarrassing elements of age. Actually, I'm proud of them. I never thought I'd make it this far. Are you kidding? I'm glad to be up and kicking and still in there punching. And but I am learning as I go. Now, keyframe frequency of 4 seconds is or less. So I don't know how to change that on the fly. Let me see if I can hit the edit button and live chat. Yeah. Well, that's crazy. Yeah, keyframe frequency. I have to change the keyframe frequency. Now let me ask you, is this buffering? Is it stopping and going? Is it jerky? Other than myself? I'm just naturally jerky, you know that. But, well, I don't know. It sure looks like I'm live. You know? Okay, folks, here's what I'm going to have to do, if you're hearing this. I'm going to have to end the stream. I'm going to have to find where the keyframe frequency is and change it to 4 seconds or less, which I can't do when I'm actually live. So, Dean, thanks for the feedback, and Werewolf. Ramona, thanks. No buffering, looking good. All good on this end. Yeah, hit those like buttons. Oh, geez. And no buffering. Well, that's interesting. See, on my screen, when you do live streaming, it gives you a big yellow ribbon that says you're messing something up. And to tell you the truth, F-Ray, I have no idea what I did. I have no idea. Well, okay, here's what happened. I went through all kinds of backflips with my ISP, talking to Verizon, and they were going to have a lineman out here by 4 p.m. today. That was 48 hours ago, and then by 4 p.m. today was cut off. Not a word from them. So I checked my jetpack and checked my data limit. And so I'm using my jetpack, which is basically like a souped-up mobile hotspot for high-speed data. So I'm using that, and it seems to give me the upload speed that I need in order to do live streaming. And hey, Remo, yeah, this was as I was explaining earlier. I have to focus in on my time frame. I get lost in the continuum sometimes, and I have to remember that now is now. But yeah, this is my first live stream, even though it's supposed to be it's supposed to be unlisted. And thank F-Ray, thank you, man. The content, we work on it hard all week long. I just finished. I've been working since Sunday morning until about an hour ago preparing this week's episode. A solid 40 hours. It's the 3D processing that takes a lot of time. Because I've been doing it so long, I've gotten pretty quick at it, but even so, we're looking at 3 to 5 hours every time there's an image I find. And of course, you have to spend time looking for things and capping them, and if there's no stereo image, then you have to create depth mapping, and then you have to check it as best as you can against other resources to make sure you're not misrepresenting the planes. But as you get a little more experienced with 3D work, you begin to understand light and shadows and distance and focus and things of that nature. And generally speaking, my depth mapping is I would say about 95% accurate. It's pretty good. I'm not bragging. I'm just saying it's been a long, slow, Okay, now I'm being told that the stream data is poor, and let me see. And we've got FLKCE. Hey, how you doing? From Poland. How cool is that? Oh man, one of my good friends. Born and raised in Poland, just went home to the Lord here a couple of weeks ago. Fine man, very intelligent man. And let's see, interesting comment from AC Stinnett, Country Music. If America had never been on Mars, we would never be sending humans there. We know that there's water on Mars, and some others there before. Not everyone knows this. And you know what? You're exactly right. I've done many years of research into hidden agendas, that type of thing. I hate conspiracy theories. I hate BS. I hate fringe stuff. But, you know, a friend of mine, Dr. Kent Hovind, one of his phrases that sticks with me is eat the meat and spit out the bones, which is what I do. And so there's usually nuggets of gold in just about any resource that you read, and through gathering those nuggets over the years, it became clear to me that that we do in fact have a secret space program, that we have been on Mars for many decades. There are settlements, especially a large corporate. Well, let's not go into that. I'm going to get my channel pulled if I start talking about that. Thank you very much, Remo. He says, your 3D work inspires me, but I use NASA stereoscopic image, and I use the PDS and MAST 102. And that's exactly what I do, Remo. Whenever there's a stereo pair available, I avail myself of it, because it's that's the best thing to do. The problem with the MAST cams is that you have the 34 millimeter, the wide angle, which is a long strip. And then you have the 100 millimeter MAST cam, which is a little more high res, basically a Walmart camera. And so when making a stereo pair from those, a little tip for you there, Remo, you want to take the section of the 34 millimeter image and crop it down to make a stereo pair. Now the resolution is going to be absolutely horrible, but unless it's real close. In this episode coming up tomorrow, I have a couple that are pretty good standalones without a lot of interference from me. But generally speaking, I'll make the stereo with a really miserable 34 millimeter image. And then I'll go into clone brushing in Stereo Photo Maker, and I'll start importing elements from the right element and right image into the left image, making sure it precisely matches the stereo plane in every case throughout the depth environment of the picture. And I end up with a pretty darn good picture, but it's a lot of work. And let's see, 3D Stereo ID. You know, Rima, I haven't used that. Well, I take that back. I have used it. It was a little clunky for my purposes in terms of kind of the high-end processing that I do. I use a iMac 27 for most of my work. And F-rate, you know, yeah, man, I understand people have trouble doing the X3D. And what it is, my friend, is that you just need to get back from the screen. If you're looking at a computer monitor, back off further. And you just barely cross your eyes. You just barely. There's no strain involved. You'll find a sweet spot in there where you cross them. And remember, you're looking past the images, the stereo pair. Look to the horizon. And just gently cross your eyes until you perceive three images. The one in the center is in 3D. And then you just relax your eyes into it. And trust me, Remo, when you get it, you're going to have the thrill of your lifetime. And you will get it, and you'll never lose it once you've got it. So remember, we're all viewing everything in perfect, flawless 3D every single day the moment we open our eyes. We do it naturally. It's our own ability to do this. And let me look at some more comments here. You're welcome, AC Stinnett Country Music. Very glad to have this channel up. Whole lot more work than I expected it to be. And I'm glad I'm retired because this is my full-time job, and that's why I started the Patreon account, because there are a lot of expenses associated with this, and I'm trying not to go too far in the hole to where my financial advisor, which would be my wife, says, you have to stop doing this. In which case I'd just do it in secret, I guess. Anyway, yeah, Remo, there's a lot of crop there. There's a lot of work involved with any of the NASA images. There's a lot of copy and pasting. There's a lot of rockifying, a lot of photoshopping, most of it quite crude. And if you watch Chris Maroney's terrific channel, he's an expert at recognizing when they mess around with an image. And he points it out very well. He has an amazing set of eyes for that type of thing. But yeah, planetary protector, once your eyes lock on, you have it. And Remo goes on to say, have you also tried anaglyph? Well, yeah, and the anaglyph, you have to understand, I've been a stereo photographer and a stereo enthusiast since the age of actually 3. My dad helped develop the TrueView viewer, which was later picked up by GAF and became the Viewmaster. And so I've been looking at stereo images since I was a toddler. And it's been part of my life, all my life. And I've done photography of all kinds with the various stereo formats. Anaglyph is cool, but you've got to have equipment. You've got to own the glasses. And the anaglyph itself is like the poor stepchild of stereo viewing. It's just, it's really crappy. It ruins the color. You have ghost images. You don't have decent blending of the stereo planes. But you do get a stereo image of a kind. Parallel viewing limits you to the size the image is limited, because you have to be able to resolve the parallax using the natural distance between your two eyes, which is about 50 millimeters roughly, 2 inches, 2.5 inches. With X3D, you're taking out the parallax and you're making it unlimited, so that you can take a stereo pair the size of, say, a 27-inch screen and have no problem making a beautiful 3D window out of it with no equipment. And like I said, this is what they do in design and engineering and science. All aspects of industry use X3D. Anyway, let's see. Yeah, you know, Dean, if you're, and anybody else who's looking at these things on an iPhone, I will admit right up front that viewing in parallel on the small images of an iPhone or a smartphone is much easier than X3D, because the images are so very small. The whole idea between X3D is to give you the biggest possible crystal clear images, and it's tailor-made for putting on a large monitor. As a matter of fact, you could literally view stereo images the size of billboards and see them in 3D. That's how effective it is. So, anyway, yeah, and Jimmy, yeah, Alfie Joe Bob, Jimmy Roberts put a terrific video, instructional video, on his channel, and I've, of course, linked that in underneath each of my videos so that you can see that. You can see my little video. We're going to be posting an audio description, and then there's a picture graphic tutorial, which a lot of people use. It's called the finger method, and that's real easy. I find that most people get it within seconds of trying that. So That's a pretty cool thing. Everyone's going, wow, well, that's cool. You are the father of choreograph. I bought you. Well, I'm not sure what that means, being since choreography is dancing, and it's been many, many years since I danced in the Bolshoi. So I'm not sure you'd want to see me dance now. And parallax is, that's just a fancy $10 word. Parallax is just, if you imagine a line coming out from the center of your eyeball, and wherever you focus, those lines cross, and in a V, and that's your point of focus. And when you do X3D, your point of focus is unlimited. It goes all the way to the horizon. And that's why you can see really large images with X3D viewing. I went for years, if you see on my video lists on the channel, I have bunches and bunches and bunches of other videos. Most are 2D, and then there are a bunch of them that are X3D. And but I tried for years on Facebook to get people interested. I would give away free anaglyph glasses, and I think in several years' time I only gave away maybe a dozen pair. And I tried to teach people parallel and X3D, and people just weren't interested. And then finally, a year ago, October, I just said, good old Southern curse word. I said, foot. And I decided I'm just going to do X3D, and people can either learn it and come along with me, or they can just flip over and watch Power Ranger videos or kitty videos or something like that. But, oh yeah, Remo, very cool. I would love it if you have a segment where we can send you our stereoscopic pairs. Well, here's how you do that. If it's an anomaly, a Mars anomaly, or any off-world anomalies, send it to me at MarsX3D@gmail.com. Please include a link to the original, and I'll check it out and see what we can do with it. Now, if you're on Facebook, you can go to my site there called Magic Window X3D, where I post all my photography, all my conversion work, and people from all over the world contribute to that page. And it's a lot of fun. And Remo, if you have things to contribute, come on over and join Magic Window X3D and start posting. I'd love to see what you got, man. And let me see. Alfie Joe Bob says that he uses a 10-inch tablet, and yeah, it works great. That's plenty big enough. And let's see. No static at all. Look, I've also looked at stereo view since I was a child. The little films in a box, you betcha. Yeah, love it. I grew up on TrueView viewers and ViewMaster and all that stuff. As a matter of fact, I just picked up an Epson V600 scanner, and I'm going to start scanning my stereo slides, and they'll be appearing on Magic Window X3D. But I have to figure that out right now. I need to figure out how to consistently do live streaming. So let's see. And, yeah, AC Stennett country music. Isn't it exciting to see structures and music? What am I saying? And objects on the surface of Mars. You're going to get old too someday, okay? Count on it. But, yeah, it is. It's actually, very quickly, as many of you know, I got into this because of my background to debunk it. And I thought, 5 minutes, I have this thing torn apart. And within 15 minutes of being on Google Mars, I found archaeological ruins. And within the next half hour or so, I found 5 more archaeological sites. And you could have knocked me over with a feather. I was absolutely gobsmacked. And I had to set aside all my presuppositions and to say, okay, I guess I better look into this because I don't really know what I'm talking about. And since that point, it's been like such a cool live science fiction mystery quest, and it's so much fun when I find something new and good enough to share with people, especially if it's crisp and clean and non-fractal. That's like finding a bar of gold on the beach. So that's very, very cool to have that happening. And no static at all, says lovely. Well, it takes one to know one. And do you show statue heads and fossils? Because I see and have many of those. Remo, if you have those and want to share them with me, by all means, send them on over to MarsX3D at gmail.com. I can't promise that I'll use everything that's sent to me. As a matter of fact, I only use a small percentage of what's being sent to me, and I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, anything like that, but you know, I need to set and keep the bar high on this channel so that I'm not showing you blurry, really blurry stuff or pareidolia inspired stuff, or you know, making wild claims about miniature Martians or 34 Fords on the surface, or you know, things like that. Could they be there? Yeah, sure they could. But until I see crystal clear evidence in front of my old, weary, worn out 3D eyes, you know, I'm going to reserve judgment on that. And hi, Claire. Claire Mead says she's going to pop over to my Facebook. And of course, we have a Facebook page for MarsX3D as well, which you're welcome to come over. And I post things there every week. I'm getting ready to post the flats, spelled with a PH, of this week's episode. The video's going up at midnight tonight. But I always post the flats a day before, because there are literally tens of thousands of people out there who either could care less about X3D or simply can't do it, or are too lazy to even attempt to try. So, you know, I salute each and every one of you who have learned this technique. I'm so impressed. And to have the channel growing as it is with people who can actually do X3D, so cool. And as I mentioned last week, we were picked up by the Italian fashion magazine, sarahmichelle.org. Jimmy, Chris, and I are going to have our separate pages over there. And it's a very cool magazine. Lots of really hot-looking babes on there. Lots of interesting fashion, but lots of other stuff, too. It's not just that. And, of course, we have our pages, too, under unauthorized photography. And yeah, J.D. Murfreesboro. I love Murfreesboro. The moon has all kinds of stuff as well. Absolutely bingo. Chris's Facebook site, Lunar Anomalies and Beyond, and his channel as well, cover that very adequately. And of course, John Lear was the first one with the Pegasus project to really let people know what was going on up there on the moon. And of course, everyone thought he was a freak at the time, but then, oh, I'm having a senior moment. Ken Johnston, one of our Apollo astronaut stand-ins, had access or found the actual Apollo images that had been hidden under a floor in one of the buildings. They were going to throw them out. He saved them. And so these images, shot with high-res, state-of-the-art Hasselblad cameras, have some spectacular things on them. And Ken Johnston is responsible for making that possible for us all to see them. And Darren is asking, do you think we've already been to Mars? In my personal opinion, I absolutely believe we have, and that there's a current presence there, human and at least 2 other alien races. And we apparently don't get along very well. But I have seen evidence of farming on Mars. And of course, if you ever get a chance, I'm going to do a video sometime on Skipper, Joseph Skipper. He was the anomalist emeritus of all of us. He was doing this years before any of us even thought of it. And his site, just Google Joseph Skipper. And he has an amazing website of stuff that he's identified in their forests and lakes, all kinds of stuff. And of course, Brother Skipper went home to the Lord here about a year or 2 ago, I think it was. And Remo says he sees reptoid heads, and that it was a dinosaur planet, and panspermia to Earth or vice versa. Yeah, I think that's true. And actually, tomorrow's episode has what I think is a velociraptor claw that Phil Cox found. I got to take a drink of water. I had no idea that I was going to be live. I thought I was doing this in private, so you guys are freaking me out. But yeah, tomorrow's episode does have some dinosaur in it, and I think that we have found vertebrae, dinosaur-type creatures. We've found a fair amount of fossil evidence. We've certainly found crinoids from the, I believe, the Mesozoic era, and just exactly like the crinoids that we have here on Earth. So, and of course, I remember back in the day when, was it Viking? Said Jimmy remembers all this stuff. I don't keep this stuff in my head. All I'm interested in is finding anomalies and processing them in 3D. But, they had found what looked like a crinoid on a rock. And NASA ordered its grinder to grind the thing away. They ground it away. So they say, oh, look, we got rid of the evidence. It's like, oh, come on, folks. So, anyway, what causes the global dust storms on Mars? I actually have an insider's opinion on that, and I'm going to share it with you right now, so you'll want to listen carefully. The dust storms are caused by wind, just like here on Earth. The atmosphere is very thin, and of course the wind speeds easily get up over 200 miles an hour, but 200 miles an hour here on Earth would wear everything down to a nub in no time at all. But in that thin atmosphere, it isn't as damaging as it would be otherwise. But nevertheless, we do have a lot of rock polishing, dust polishing. We have a lot of erosion, that type of thing. And let me see. I'm trying to keep up with what species of alien do you think, Remo's asking. This is just based on reading and talking to other researchers. And I don't know if this is true. This is just what I speculate. Apparently there's a human population, there's a reptilian population, and there's an insectoid population. That's all I know about it. I would say that if any of you have not seen the movie Above Majestic, check it out, because much of what's actually in that movie is stuff I already knew and had discovered in my own research, and I was stunned to see it validated in this movie. I thought, geez, I thought I was the only guy that knew about this. But, that was pretty cool. And let's see, they're supposed to be disclosing something added to the stimulus bill. Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see on that. And Tony said, great to see the captain has now gotten control of the ship. Well done, Dave. Thank you, sir. I guess you probably all know from long ago that I've been a pirate. A pirate a long time, all my life. And Remo says, yeah, I have crystal clear stereoscopic of Velociraptor's head hiding behind a rock. Yeah, definitely send it along to me if you feel like it. And Dean Sattler says, Dean, by the way, Dean, congratulations, man. He has found some really amazing stuff and has shared it with me. So, yeah, Dean, keep doing what you're doing. You've got a good set of eyes there, brother. Sol 610, yeah. And, yeah, and you're right. No Static at All says, and of course the media will report these unidentified aerial phenomena as threatening. Dr. Stephen Greer has been saying, paying heed to the false flag for years, and yes, indeed, that is the next scheduled false flag. After the pandemic has finally worn itself out to where they can't control us anymore with it, then you'll see disclosure, and then, they're here to wipe us out. They're bad guys, and it's us against them. And actually, Werner von Braun told us about this back in the early 60s. He said, this is the plan. So, yeah, keep that in the back of your mind, because that is going to happen. And, and Tony says, personally, I think we have planet hop for millions of years. Each planet we ended up on, we evolved to suit. And, it's interesting, Tony, that every single place in the solar system where we have sent a probe, whether it's comets, asteroids, various moons, various planets, we have found evidence of intelligent agency. My personal opinion is that there have been many very advanced civilizations on Earth, and that I think that we were colonized from Mars prior to the catastrophe, which explains both Sumerian and Egyptian civilizations, that electrogravitic flight is a principle that's been known for centuries. And I think we've been everywhere. And I think that once we get out there into the galaxy, that we're going to discover human populations everywhere. I personally think that that life is the prime directive. You look here on Earth, everywhere you look, from the top of Everest down to the black fumaroles in the abyssal depths of the ocean, we find life everywhere. In the driest, hottest desert, in the Arctic, in the ice, under the ice. There are extremophiles that live everywhere. Life is a prime directive. And if there's any way for life to exist, it'll find a way. I think that Europa and the various other ice moons are teeming with life beneath the ice. Because there's going to be a thermocline. There's going to be an area deep within that planetary ocean where the temperature is just exactly right to support life, and that's where we're going to find them. Darren says, that's nice, man. Thanks. He says he listened to every word I said, and happy to see people chatting with us. Yeah, that is very cool. And he says, you're a class act, Dave. Well, folks, it takes one to know one. I am so pumped on all you guys and gals out there who have learned X3D and are taking this journey with me. It is so encouraging because, for many, many years I felt entirely alone. I thought I was the only one on the planet doing this. And now all of a sudden we have a whole family. And I hope to see other X3D channels pop up and more research being done in that vein, because the more the merrier. And, Planetary Protector says, I think the lizards work for an unknown species. The insectoids are one of the lizard's enemies, but not necessarily our friends. I think you're right. I think we'll find out eventually, but I think you're probably right. And are the humans on Mars a breakaway civilization? The Nazis after World War? Oh boy. Empire Beneath the Ice by Stephen Quayle. Very interesting, because he maintains that the Nazis didn't lose the war, that they actually just escaped to South America and to Antarctica, where they built a massive underground civilization called Neuschwabenland. And Commodore Perry's expedition, Operation High Jump, back in 1947, they went down, it said a scientific expedition, and yet they took destroyers and tenders and aircraft carrier and thousands of troops. And they got their noses bloody. They said his report was that there were basically Nazi UFOs that came up out of the water firing laser cannons and just plastered them. I mean, just sent them running with their tails tucked. And very, very interesting if you ever decide to get into looking into that. There's some very interesting facts on record from back then, actual testimony that'll blow your mind. And yeah, it's entirely possible that the corporate conglomerate on Mars is a Nazi breakaway. Nazis are up there. I think there's a dark fleet. And I think that there's a... I think that all the things that we're hearing about are likely true. Yeah, and Dean says, life finds a way. You betcha. And let's see, what else have we got? Well, yeah, very good point that Ramona brings up, that, it'd be nice to get to other planets, but, we're fighting. We're a level 0 civilization. We haven't formed a global awareness yet, and we're still working on our caveman instincts to fight and conquer and destroy and all of that stuff. And but I think we're very close to a singularity, as Ray Kurzweil says, because as we go to a global internet, especially I'm thinking of Elon Musk's Starlink network, which I'd love to be on. Now, if we go to that, and then as the AI is released and infects that system and goes to a globally aware internet, that'll be our next step past nuclear weapons. How do we survive our global AI internet? Interesting conversation there. And Aesop's tortoise. I like that name. Aesop's tortoise. That's a good one. When you get the X3D technique right, do the two images merge completely? Absolutely. And he says, I keep trying, but I can't do it yet. Well, if you're having to cross your eyes too hard to get it to happen, you're too close. You just need to back off. It's that simple. It's just like for some of you who've played baseball. If you've ever hit the ball with a sweet spot in the bat, there's a sweet spot. Same thing here. There's a sweet spot in terms of distance from the monitor, where just the tiniest crossing of your eyes will create those three images, and they fuse in the center into a single image, and that's your 3D window. You relax into it, and it opens up. Some of you have done the, weenie, floating weenie between your fingertips. It's the same type of thing, only with the eyes crossed on the images, not on your fingers. Let's see. Well, thank you, No Static. I appreciate that comment. And, oh, look who's here, man. Mars Anomaly, the man himself, Chris Maroney. I think I have it working right. And Chris, I'll tell you the truth. I'm not sure what I did, and I'm not sure I can replicate it. Okay? And I'm still getting, Chris, I don't know how to change the keyframe rate on the fly here. I've got a yellow banner saying my keyframe frequency of 4 seconds, that I need to use a keyframe frequency of 4 seconds or less. And I don't know if I do that in, I'm switching over to OBS here, and rate control, well, it's CBR. I don't know what that is. And I can't change it while I'm actually on a live stream. So, so much for that. But let me get this out of my face here. In any case. Anyway, Chris, very nice to see you. I appreciate you stopping by. And oh, look, Julia Golly, the editor-in-chief of sarahmichelle.org is online. All my favorite people are here. Yay. And you're one of our favorite people too, Julia. And Godspeed to you on the magazine. She's taken on a huge project to honor the memory of her best friend, Sarah Michelle. We all miss her. We were very sorry to say goodbye to her. But she has found a very able ally and replacement, if you will, in Julia. She has her hands full right now, getting the magazine up and off the ground, but we're very excited about being part of it and seeing how it's going to grow in the months ahead. And let's see what else we got. Yeah, that's with Chris showing up, that's a little bit like the king of the world stopping in to your lemonade stand. So I'm very flattered, Chris. Thank you. Uh, that's interesting, Claire. She says sometimes it helps to look at your reflection on the screen and then your eyes adjust. Well, hey, anything that works. Try anything. That's pretty interesting. And let's see. Julia says, I'm happy Dave finally got it working. Well done. Yeah, well, Julia, I still don't have any idea what I did. And, MUFON Channel was named Darren. His work was all about UFOs. I haven't really seen that. Okay, now my stream is excellent, and now it's poor again. I sure wish I knew how to fix this. And, let's see. Oh, Julia says I'm a peach. Thank you, Julia. I'd like to think that I'm as sweet and juicy as a peach might be. And I even have peach fuzz on my face. I'm not trying to be a big shot, but it is true. And you rock, Dave. Chris, you're too kind, man. Takes one to know one. Chris, is a long-time ham radio guy from way back. And that man has the gift of gab. I mean, he can carry on and carry on and carry on. And you couple that with the mind that he's got and the almost unbelievable set of eyes he has for rooting out these various NASA tricks that they're pulling on us on a regular basis. Well, that's a pretty lethal combination. And, okay, and Chris says it's working good here. And Julia says video and sound are just fine. And I got a thumbs up from Martin. Thank you, Martin. I appreciate that. And Alfie Joe Bob, he's well. And thank you, for your kind remarks towards Jimmy and Gene and Dave and Chris. And, Gene Ward is another great researcher who has labored in the dark in a quiet corner. And, check him out on YouTube, Gene Ward. He's got a lot of good stuff that he puts together. And I know the first time I looked at his channel, I thought, oh, this is just stuff from orbit. And it's just, a rough formation. But then he'll find like a dozen of the same formation scattered all over the planet and show them to you. And he's a very interesting guy. And I hope someday we can all work together maybe. I'm looking forward to the time when I can afford the projection equipment and take this show on the road live. I've got 3 or 4 one-hour presentations that'll just knock your socks off. And I love doing a live presentation, and I'd love to have an audience wearing, the same glasses that you wear in an IMAX movie, 3D movie. And it's very expensive equipment that goes with that. But, how cool would that be to actually introduce people who have never done X3D to the best of this 3D stuff. It'd be amazing. So that day's coming one of these days. And, I don't think, Ramona, it was us that destroyed Mars. I would urge anybody who hasn't already done so to read Dr. John Brandenburg's Life and Death on Mars, Evidence of a Planetary Nuclear Massacre. Don't get that confused with his other book, which I think is Life and Death on Mars, and it has another subtitle, but look for the nuclear massacre. This man knows what he's talking about. He's a top cat at NASA and at the space program. And his analysis of the isotopes and the blast patterns that they found on the surface indicate that the attack was from orbit, and that the largest of the devices was a nuclear device that was larger than the Empire State Building. We're talking a planet killer right there, which obviously it did. It blew off the atmosphere, boiled off the oceans, drove everybody underground, minimal survival of plant and animal and sentient life. And Julia says, she has her father's Grundig radio and listens to shortwave radio every night. That's very cool. Isn't that fun? That is a lot of fun. And Tony says, well, sounding and viewing perfect here, so I can't complain. I'm using my jetpack now, which is a kind of like a souped up phone. And I'm on a 30 gig limit. I have no idea how much a live stream uses in terms of gigabytes, so I may have to limit this, and I probably will shut down in a little while, because I do need to report for husband duty downstairs. I'm up here in my quiet little studio where I can pull off all kinds of nefarious activity. But yeah, Julia, you might want to consider talking to Gene Ward, or at least talk to Jimmy and Chris about him, and because he's another serious guy. He's not a crazy eye guy. And humans do tend to destroy things, and Claire Mead says, so do house cats. Claire, I want you to watch the very opening sequence of my episode number 82 tomorrow morning, because you have just issued a very sentient, prescient statement there. Let me see. It looks like the usual suspects. Yeah, ain't that the case? Hi to everybody from Chris's channel and from Jimmy's channel and Ricardo and all of them. Oh, thank you, Ricardo. Liking the channel. Thank you very much. And yeah, Ramona, do the read. I think you'll really like it. It's really, really interesting. And he has at the end of the book, he has a really cogent plan for how to settle Mars. Figured out and presented as in a way that only a quantum physicist can do. But the book is very understandable. It doesn't get into a lot of super advanced math or that type of thing. And in fact, I liked the book so much that I got another copy that I refused to color in. So, that's just me. And Julia's saying her father's radio wears more than I do. It's huge and almost a piece of furniture. Yeah, I remember those things. Isn't that cool? I had an old, what do they call them? Floor cabinets. They had a name for them. It's like a chest of drawers almost. Big old tube radio. And I remember when I was a little fella listening to The Shadow and The Lone Ranger and some of the other radio shows back in the day, and the theater of the mind. When I have far memory, I remember back to shortly after I was born, and I have some very, very early memories of listening to the radio, enraptured, all by myself, and wow, it was cool. And Julie says, "Here's a free book." Yeah, Claire and Chris has got things going up all the time. And let me see what Remo's saying here, but well, that's very cool. You're using Stereo ID, the app, to convert an anaglyph to an X3D side by side. That works. That's cool. Absolutely works. So, Chris, let me ask you this, if you're still on board. How do I change the keyframe frequency? Is that done in OBS? I am assuming it is, because I didn't see any kind of keyframe frequency on the setup for live feed. So that would be helpful to know that. Yeah, Ricardo, he mentioned he'd like to see some of the X3D versions of Gene Ward's images, and those can be done, but the orbital images are really tough to do. Now, excuse me, you can do them in essentially fake 3D, as if the image was taken a little further along in the orbit, and but they're not terribly effective, because you don't really have a point of reference. It's like the difference between flying in an aircraft and looking down, and you don't really have the sense of the height that you're at. But if you stand on the edge of a cliff that's 1,500 feet up, boy howdy, do you have a sensation of the height that you're at. It can be pretty disturbing. But let's see. Okay, Darren, sorry to see you go. Thanks for stopping by. And Yeah, you have good, man. Have a good one. Peace to you. Uh, oh, Julie said he had a Telefunken too. Oh, wow. Big monster. He loves it. What a small world. Isn't that cool? And when you get a chance, I can help you with all those settings in OBS. Chris is saying, just let me know. Be glad to help. Thank you very much, Chris. I feel kind of like I just stumbled on this. I don't know how I ended up going live and why this is working. I'm not really sure, but yeah, I'll check all those things out, and I'll probably get with you tomorrow, Chris, if you have a little bit of time, and maybe go through those settings with you real quick. Yeah, I'm telling my age right now, and yeah, it's true. I'm gonna be 70 here coming up in May, and like they say, if I'd known I would have lived this long, I'd taken better care of myself. But it's been a hell of a ride. Oh my goodness, I've lived 7 lives coming this far, and I wouldn't trade anything for it. It's been just great, and I'm good and healthy. I'm planning on sticking around a long time. So, okay, let's see. Oh, you translate videos into English for him. That's very cool. And she's translating Chris's videos. And what a nice thing for our old... I'm going to be one of those older people here before too long, where I'm going to not only have people translating videos for me, but brushing my teeth and changing my diapers and doing all that stuff. So, I want to put that off as long as possible. The work I'm doing is keeping me young. Actually, there's truth in that, Ramo, because I have so much fun doing this. I feel absolutely guilty. I'd feel even more guilty if I was making money doing it. So hopefully I'll get a chance to feel really, really guilty at some point. But yeah, when you're embarked on a creative endeavor, that's what keeps you young. Real quick, backstory on me. Some of you know, some of you don't, that I was a professional musician all my life, over 50 years. I was with Disney Production, Disney World, for 20 years. I've toured all over the world with jazz bands, recording and doing clinics, and had my own groups and that type of thing. And I was in an industrial accident in 2003, and it knocked 12 of my teeth out and crushed my upper palate. Brought an effective end to my career. And it took me a while to reconcile that and get over it. I'm fine, and Dave is fine. But finding an outlet for those creative urges that were the prime directive in my life for over 50 years, that took a while. But I'm super happy doing this, and just so happy to know the people that are on board with this and joining in on the conversation and on looking at some of the things that I and my colleagues have dug up. And Julia, you look fabulous for 70. I would have guessed 55-ish. You look marvelous. That's very kind of you, young lady. I wish I was 50 years younger so that I could appreciate it even more. Julia, by the way, if you folks haven't been over to sarahmichelle.org, you need to go over there just for the sake of seeing a photo of Julia. She is an absolute, on a scale of 1 to 10, she's an 18. I'm just saying. You need to check the site out, okay? My father is old school and only speaks Italian. Looking good for your age, says Ricardo. Shade younger than my father, and he's still going strong. Well, we're just rasty old pirates who keep just rolling along. And yeah, I heard you're on your 9th life, Ramona. I believe that. And Ramo's asking what instrument. I was actually, okay, are you ready for this? I was a professional tuba player and bass player all my life. I started out classically trained at New England Conservatory. I was one of the youngest members ever to join the Boston Symphony Orchestra and Boston Pops, and I toured and recorded and did TV shows with them for a number of seasons. And played classically and I won't go into the details now, but decided I didn't want to count measures the rest of my life. So I branched off into commercial and jazz music, and I became one of the only jazz tuba players in the world. There are a few of them, darn good ones too. Well, but that's what I did. Most of my life was commercial and doing recording that you hear in radio, TV, movies, that type of thing, theme parks, and playing in jazz groups, that type of thing, and a lot of show groups, because, you work at Walt Disney World, the one thing you learn is shtick and how to put it on. So that's what I did all my life. But concurrently with that, I was also a professional pilot, built my own experimental plane, owned several planes. I was ad director at US Aviator magazine and flew other people's airplanes, which I much prefer. And also, in conjunction with my stereo photography, I've been on 3 archaeological expeditions to Israel in the Middle East, where I was a 3D documentarian for those expeditions, and got to work with some of the top archaeologists in the world there and learn from them. And while I wouldn't dare to compare myself to any actually degreed or professional archaeologist, I have a fair amount of experience for an amateur, and some really, really good teachers. And this is what helped me initially in my first foray onto the surface of Mars, is to recognize ruins when I saw them, because I know them when I see them. Oh, goodness, let's see. I'm going to have to wrap it up here pretty good. Probably another 5 minutes or so. And Earl said he ordered his 3D glasses. Well, I hope they work for you, Earl. They won't work on my channel because it's only with your eyes that you can see X3D. And that's very kind of you, Remo. That the possibilities are incalculable and priceless. I'm not real concerned about the growth of the channel. Obviously, like anybody else, I'm a guy, and I'd love to see it be a huge hit like Chris's or Jimmy's. But that time will come. It's a very special niche of people who take the time to learn X3D and learn it and use it. And that's all I want. I want quality people like you with my channel. And if that means a couple thousand, hey, so be it. I'm thrilled. If it eventually grows beyond that, well, cool. That'd be nice too. But let me see. I'm going to try to catch up with some of these comments before we have to sign off. The radios, I agree, Ramona. Remo says, I'd love to hear you play some in the background of your videos. Wow, Disney, we have much to learn from you. I feel so small. No, my friend. Remo, don't ever fall victim to that kind of self-analysis. You are an eternal soul, my friend, and as such, you are of incalculable worth. The interesting thing is that wherever your passion lies, that's where you can grow as a soul, and you can continually expand and learn. One thing I learned early on was that people can take things away from me. They can take my job, they can take my belongings, they can take my wife if they wanted to, but they can't take away my skills. And so I devoted myself to learning skills. And everybody has the same potential, and nobody is small. Not to get religious on you, but nobody is small in God's sight. You're an eternal soul, and you are an eternal, multidimensional soul with unlimited possibilities. And when you key into that, when you start understanding that and believing it, now you begin to grow in new ways. And that's what I wish for each and every one of you. Okay, let's see. I don't. Oh yeah. Ramona played clarinet. Ramona, I was just starting to like you. Just kidding. Big man for high school. Yeah, that's good. Some of you, a long time ago, might remember the movie French Connection 2. The band I was in, the Don Ellis Band, we did the soundtrack for that movie. And, okay, Dean, thanks for stopping by. We'll see you next time. Thank you, Chris. I'll hit you up tomorrow on the settings. Kevin, you're welcome. I'm glad to do the things that I do, and I'm very glad that people like you and the others are out there who appreciate them. That makes it all worthwhile. And yeah, Ricardo, cool. You do it right off the bat. And actually most people do. Now, that's not to make anybody feel bad or less than if you don't get it right away. Don't worry about it. It happens when it's supposed to. And once you get it, just like riding a bicycle, you have got it for life. You'll never lose it. It'll get easier and easier and easier. I promise you. And, okay. Well, Martin, there's some good 3D glasses available. Go to Berezin, Berezin. I believe it is, Berezin.com. He's one of the best 3D supply places on the web, and he's a long-time business. You can get all kinds of 3D stuff there. You can't use glasses with my channel, but you can with a bunch of other stuff. So, go for it, my friend. And Mike is saying, enjoy your channel, even though my eye issues, I can't do 3D. I'm sorry to hear that. And I hope that you can continue to enjoy the flat images. You know, if you have eye pathologies like a lazy eye or detached retina or you're blind in one eye, yeah, you can't see X3D. And I feel badly about that. But you can still see the flat images. And just seeing them and recognizing them for what they are is really important. And let's see. And no static at all. Peace to everybody. Good show. And let's try to concentrate on making 2021 a great year. Amen to that, brother. Isn't that the truth? Well, there. And Goat Heart is here. Hey, man. How are you doing? I'm very glad that you're here. It's so nice to see so many names here. Like I say, this was an unlisted broadcast. I thought I was just going to experiment and get my settings right, and turned out to be a live stream. Now, there will be a live stream coming up real soon. Maybe next week. I don't know. But I want to be sure I can do this again before I give you a date, and then I sit there and stumble all over myself. So, you know. Thanks, Ramona. Yeah, you got all those clarinet runs. Synthic optical radar from Ricardo. Yeah, it would give us great 3D images from orbit. I know they're starting to scan the moon with radar and getting some fantastic images. And Earl, I'm your eyes. No, man, you are your eyes. I'm just the guy that finds something for you to look at. What's cool is that you get to see kind of through my eyes. And I'm working on my memoirs. I'm up to 1972, and it's at 500 pages. Oh, Lord. And of course, it will be profusely illustrated in 3D. And so that those who come after me in my bloodline will be able to experience my life literally through my eyes. You know, there's a book published about our family in America. We came over on the Mayflower. And in reading that book and hearing all the stories of all of my ancestors that the centuries before me, and the tragedies they went through, the adventures they went through, and it's all cut and dried, you know, like Joseph Gannett married Mary Wright, and they begat 6 children, and 6 of them died, you know, or something. It's really short on details, and I thought, how many times, wouldn't it be cool to be able to look and experience their life, what life was like, you know, in 1702 on the frontier? I mean, how cool would that be? And so I determined, well, I'm gonna try to do this before I cack, and leave it in the family, and maybe, who knows, if we don't obliterate ourselves, that centuries from now, ancestors of mine will see what it was like to be a person like myself and look through my eyes and see the world, you know. So let's see. I'm getting ready to sign off. See you later, Tony. Thanks for stopping by. And Julia, yeah, Huntington Beach. Love the water. Yeah, water table restaurant. And Earl, you're welcome. He says thank you for this channel. And Chris is saying his X3D is tuned in. God bless you, Chris. Hey, listen, I'm going to have to sign off now and try to figure out what I did. So thank you so much for all of you stopping by, for spending a few minutes with me. What a cool thing to be able to chat with you. We'll have a real legitimate live stream coming up real soon. And I hope to talk to you then. So this is your buddy Dave over at MarsX3D. Be well.